I'm Morgan Aitken-Young. I co-founded and currently lead the San Francisco chapter of Represent Us. And I'm just going to quickly tell you guys why I got involved in this fight, how a group of people who had almost no political experience got something on the ballot and won, and why it's so important that we all do what we can where we are right now. So my story starts with the Represent Us solution video, where they talk about going around Congress and passing anti-corruption acts in cities and states. So who's seen that video? A lot of people in the room, yeah. So before I'd seen this video, I knew that money in politics was a problem, but I had no idea how to fix it. And suddenly I had not only a solution with these comprehensive reforms, but I also had a strategy that didn't rely on politicians in Washington. It relied on me going out in my community. And I'd seen the strategy work before with marriage equality. I have two moms who thought that they would never see marriage equality in their lifetime, and it was this exact strategy that became an unstoppable wave of both cultural change and policy change. And so when I saw the video, I had to get to work right away because I could make tangible change locally and simultaneously be a part of this incredible national movement. So long story short, when we got started, we had no idea what we were doing. A lot of our members had never voted before, didn't know who their elected officials were, and we had no idea how city law was enacted at the city level. We spent the first 6 months just researching, talking to as many people as we could who were already doing this, and we built a coalition who were willing to stand up to San Francisco lobbyists. And while we did have some policy experts in our crew, most of us were just volunteers with day jobs. And I'll never forget the night that the Ethics Commission put our measure on the ballot, one of the commissioners thanked us for getting involved in our democracy and for bringing the voice of the average citizen and common sense to call out corruption and make it illegal. And that's what we did. We got something on the ballot, ran a local campaign on a shoestring budget and lots of volunteer hours. And it not only passed, it passed with the highest margin of victory in 20 years. Thank you. And it was this margin, 87% in support, that reminded me that no matter what your politics are, this maybe was the only bipartisan agreement in 2016, frustration with the political system. And that's why it's so important that we all go back to our communities and act now, because until we fix those communities, there's really no hope of fixing Washington. So I'll just leave you with the three things that we learned from this adventure. The first is that until we fix this issue, nothing else really matters. As long as our political and democratic outcomes can be bought, what else are we doing? So the second thing is that with all this partisanship, the most invigorating and unifying thing you can do is work on something that affects every single issue. And finally, we learned that change is possible. We don't have to wait for an election and hope the elected official does what we hope they'll do. We don't have to be professionals. We don't have to be activists and lobbyists. We just have to show up together and work towards a vision of a democracy that works for all of us, not just the richest among us. And I know that we're all going to take this back to our communities, and I'll see you when we win nationally together. Thank you.
So my book on public speaking says that you're always supposed to start with a joke. I only have a couple of minutes here, so as an engineer, I wanted to tell the most effective joke possible. Put a lot of thought into it, and I, broke down the components of what a joke is. And ultimately, I came to the decision that the most effective thing to do is just be to say, "Laugh now." Very generous audience. But there's a reason why engineers probably shouldn't tell jokes. But notice how jumping to my desired outcome, having you all laugh, without actually going through the process of telling the joke, is somewhat less satisfying. As social activists, I think oftentimes we make the same mistake of wanting to jump to our we have this desired outcome that we want, and so we don't value the process of what it takes to get there. The process of learning how to get people to sign petitions, listening to people, the process of learning how to lobby and listening to people, the process of recruiting and listening to people. Do you notice a trend there? Leads to a more satisfying conclusion at the end. Things like this, unrigged, where we can get together, where we can learn together, where we can go through the process together, where we have people to support us. This is important. This matters. It matters at least as much as the end results of the results that we want. In that light, I want to tell you a little bit about the process that I went through to get here. So, I've been very blessed. Still, in my pursuit of the American dream, I faced certain challenges. Things didn't always work the way that I was told that the American dream is supposed to work. One day, just like many of you who raised your hand said, I was watching a YouTube video. I saw the problem video and realized all of my fears about the distinction between how the system is supposed to work versus how it actually works are actually true. So, I'm not the kind of person who can have that kind of insight and not take action. So I joined Represent Us. Later, I started a chapter. We learned how to do lobbying. We learned how to go talk to people. Out of those conversations, eventually, our city council unanimously decided, yes, we want to put your ballot up for a vote. Unanimously. This was something that I thought was going to be a huge struggle, but because I had a support system building me up, it wasn't. Things like this matter. So, we're coming close to the end of my time. I want to get to my ask real quick. If you have a Represent Us chapter near you, please join. People like me need you for our sanity. If there's not a Represent Us chapter near you, think about starting one. We have an amazing support system here. I'm part of that support system, and I'm happy to help. But the amazing people who put this conference on do a great job, amazing job, of walking you step by step on how you can make a difference in the world. So, real quick, I'm going to do the find the people who think like you, walk with them. Find the people who don't think like you, listen to them. Changing the world is easy. Making the world better, that takes intention. Namaste.